please recommend a program, commission, or agency you might be willing to cut or eliminate. If you cannot name one, please explain why.
Okay, thank you. First of all, thank you to the Galveston County Tea Party for hosting this event tonight. It's very informative to the electorate, and I certainly appreciate you all doing this, and I'm honored to be here. Two commissions that I would work to cut right away. First of all, the Texas Historical Commission. It's about $5 million, it's about $15 million a year, the Texas Historical Commission is. And if you want to take a minute to look on their website, they spent a bunch of money last year on archaeological digs around historic sites. This is not money that needs to be spent with taxpayer dollars. The second thing I work to cut is the Texas Commission for the Arts. $5 million a year they spend. Take a minute to go on their website. I saw that they spend money for an opera in Amarillo, for a ballet in Tyler, for an outdoor theater in Wimberley. I'm sure those are all great projects, but they need to be funded privately. They don't need to be funded with our taxpayer dollars. And so let's start with those two commissions. Thirdly, I'd ask each agency to submit a budget that had a 10% cut. Now, granted, there are some agencies that need a machete taken to their budget, but at first I just ask for a 10% cut. And let's get them into the process of spending less money and not spending more money because we keep appropriating them more money. So that's where I go with that.
Question number 2, TWIA. Should it continue to exist? If yes, why? And what should be done to correct today's challenges?
Well, I'm in the insurance business, and I would tell you in a perfect world, we ought to abolish TWIA. It was started in the 70s as the market of last resort. Well, it's become the market of only resort. And government does not need to be in the windstorm business. So what I would propose is, starting with the big three being Allstate, Farmers, and State Farm, impose upon them that they write an all-peril policy for everybody in the state. We aren't 2 states. We aren't 13 counties that make up a state and 241 counties that make up a state. We're all one state. They write all-peril policies in the Metroplex for hailstorms. They write all-peril policies in Wichita Falls for tornadoes. Let's write all-peril policies in these 13 counties on the Gulf Coast, or let's tell them to take their business elsewhere. We're all in this together. That's what I do with TWIA.
Number 3 revolves around campaign finance. I did a study a few years ago that that analyzed House members and where their funding came from. What I found out is that about 80% of campaign contributions for any given state rep came from outside of their district. So meaning 20% came from their constituents. How do you plan to balance the expectations of your campaign donors and your constituents, knowing that at some point your contributions may come more from outside of the district?
Well, fortunately, in this primary season, it's friends and family that are supporters. And so 90% of my campaign funds have come from House District 23. I'm very passionate about the issues, and I've had some of my supporters that didn't agree with my pro-life stance, yet they agreed with me on lower taxes and a predictable legal system. So they decided to support me. I've had other supporters who didn't agree with my stance on gun rights and the fact that gun owners need to keep their rights. Yet they agreed with me on wanting less regulation in their businesses. And so they were supporters of mine. So at least at this point in my campaign, with about 90% coming from inside of the district, I'm proud to say that my money does not come from out of town or even out of state for that matter. So I hope to continue to garner support within House District 23.
Tell us about your experience dealing with the legislature outside of your industry, outside of the insurance business. Have you engaged in any activist activities or unofficial lobbying or anything of that nature with regards to policy in the legislature?
I have not, but outside of my industry. If I could give you two quick examples within the industry. This past legislative session, many of the Republicans wanted to privatize Texas Mutual Insurance Company. Texas Mutual Insurance Company is the largest workers' comp carrier in the state of Texas. Right now, it has way too much government oversight. It's not run as an insurance company should be run. The governor makes the appointments, which hurts their status and their ability to get reinsurance because it is not considered an unbiased board. So there were many reasons. So Texas Mutual came to our insurance agency, Rush Ewing Insurance, and asked myself and a couple of my partners to lobby our representatives and senators to ask them to support that bill. Unfortunately, it did not get out of committee, but I think it's a good bill, and I'd like to support it in the next legislative session. The other bill and the other work that I did was back in 2004 when I chaired the Independent Insurance Agents Windstorm Committee. There are lots of things changing daily with windstorm, and there was in 2004. We were going to different building codes, we were going to different wind-resistant windows, and so we made policy changes. We went to our lobbyists, who then went to our legislators to get bills passed to try to make windstorm better. Now, I hate to say that in the last 10 years, since I was the chair of the IIAT windstorm, TWIA has gone the other direction. And I hope that when I'm your representative in Austin, that we'll get TWIA on the right track if we've got to keep TWIA. If not, let's abolish TWIA and go back to the previous question.
Bob Senner, thank you very much.